Hello, Embrace Creative community. This is Fernando Del Rosario again. This marks my second video. Um, Andrea and I have decided that I'm gonna continue to make these videos for our community so I can share my information and knowledge and insight in regards of the balance between being an artist and a business person or a marketing person. I have a lot of information and background in regards of how to juggle the two worlds of being a creator, an artist, a creative, and also a business person. I own my own ad agency marketing firm. I'm a creative director within the advertising world, and I also teach. I teach at Cal State Fullerton. I've also taught at the Art Institute here in Orange County, California. I've been a teacher and educator for the last 17 years. Don't let my youthful good looks fool you. I'm been around for a while. But my first video was about communications and how being able to communicate to the public, to art galleries, to potential business partners, to other artists or an art buyer, your story, your narrative is super important. I know most creatives, most creative folks, most artists tend to be introverts, and may not necessarily want to engage with the public, or at least have a very limited amount of patience, right, to engage with people. And I totally get that, and I totally understand that. But communication is super important if we want to, want people to engage with not necessarily just us as artists, but of our artwork. So communication is key, as I spoke to in my first video. But one of the things that I'm going to do a little bit differently moving forward from here is that every talk that I'm going to do, I'll start it with a question. And hopefully as I get things going, you yourself, the community, the Embrace Creative community, will have your own set of questions that you can ask me as a topic to talk about. So today's question is, what is your story? Okay, so let's talk about that. I am a true believer that everybody has a story to tell. Every single one of us has a story. Every single one of us has history. And if you take the word history, there's the word story in there, right? And that history, our background, our knowledge, our information, our upbringing, is our story. And as artists, we have the ability and the opportunity to sometimes tell our stories through our art. Not even sometimes, most of the time, we tell our stories through our art. And being able to understand what that story is, we might know it in our minds, in our hearts, right? We might know that intimately. We probably do know it intimately. And that's how we're able to translate it into our art. The trick is outside of our brains, outside of our heart, outside of our art, are we able to tell our story? Are we able to articulate our story? Are you able to articulate your story? Are you able to put in words why you're doing what you're doing? Are you able to put it in words to answer the second question of, who are you? Right? And by answering the questions of what is your story and who are you, you start to build your narrative. And that narrative is what you will start to use to communicate. Okay? To circle it back to the first topic on my first video, as far as being able to communicate. Because through that communication, as I mentioned in the first video, you will use that as part of your website. You'll use that as part of your pitch. You'll use that as part of the write-up that's going to be on the wall next to your art piece, to the little placard that's going to be next to your art. Through your story and communicating that story to the public, people will want to know more about your art and why you create, which is my third question. Why do you create? And these three specific questions, what is your story, who are you, and why you create, are all part of your narrative. Okay? And that narrative is what people want to hear, want to know. Because as we share this narrative to the people who are enjoying our art, they will enjoy your art even more so because they have a backstory. There's a reason for being. There's a reason why you're creating. And people want to know what that reason is. And the artists and the communicators, they're able to clearly share and articulate that story and connect with the public, will have more success in being able to get your artwork out there, get your artwork be appreciated, get your artwork be understood by the mass, by the public. And you can craft your story, and it's like a movie, right? Every great movies have its ups and downs, and they call it a hero's journey. Every single one of us is in a hero's journey. And once you figure out how to tell that story, people will want more. And people will want to see how that translates to your artwork. Okay? So that's today's talk. What is your story? Who are you? And why you create? If you have any other specific questions that you want to ask or you want me to talk about, please send a note. Just type it in the bottom of the caption. And I look forward to doing more of these short videos with you. As I had mentioned before, I'm going to do my best to keep them no longer than 10 minutes. So I am now at 8 minutes and 27 seconds. So I wish you all well. Stay creative. And let's be awesome. Thanks.